Hey guys, you are listening to Insights with Kathleen,
Please join us while we share our insights and experiences
with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself.
for the answers you already have.
As with all information we receive,
Take what speaks to you and leave the rest.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hey guys, you're listening to Insights with Kathleen.
And it's the Sherry Show.
It is not the Sherry Show. She
the
tried to
Sherry
pin it the
Show.
Sherry Show. Why is it the Sherry Show today?
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
Why not?
Just this specific one?
No, why not?
Okay. We're going to title it this.
We might change the name. We never know.
With all the logos and stuff we have embedded just for April Fools, even though it's not even close to April Fool's Day.
Well,
but
it is an A month.
why did I have to think about what month it was? What is wrong with
she went to practice Christmas in July, and I had to remind her that it was August.
And I was like, you know what? I'm fully aware, but I still want to do Christmas in July because I didn't get to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Sherry,
So
since it is the Sherry Show,
we need a mug with a logo on there.
what are we talking about today?
So I'm so glad you asked because, we had a conversation a couple days ago that resonated with me. And I realized something. This is like a very small, silly story. But I realize whenever, when you go to a diner and you get like a burger and fries, right? Mm-hmm. I always eat the fries first before my entree. And you kind of asked me, why do you do that? And I kind of said, I have to make sure I get the entree I have to get like the fries out of the way before I can have like the main meal, the thing that I want. So I guess segueing into like the topic, I guess for me, I realized I have to make sure everything's perfect before I can move forward in either a situation or a part of life. And I feel like that could, hold a person back, but I don't know how to combat that.
Why do you eat your fries first?
It's the principle of the thing.
Well, I kind of like to eat 2 or 3 fries when they're really hot, but that's a whole nother thing. So no, I get what you're asking.
2 or 3. You don't get a fistful of fries. What's wrong with you?
Well, I feel like there's many layers to this question that you're asking.
Right.
Using your example of you feel like you have to eat the fries first, but I think that there's a layer there that's I have to clear my plate layer.
Right.
Because then I'm not a good person if I don't.
Yeah, because I'm like, people.
Excuse me.
Not people, but just, like, it's wasteful, or I should make sure, like, I utilize the whole meal. Like, I have to, yeah.
And what happens if we don't do good? Like, what happens if we disappoint people is really what I want to ask.
I mean, I feel like the answer in my head, the diplomatic one is you don't die, but the other part's like, but I want to make sure I'm striving to do the best all the time, 100% before I can go forward in the next thing.
And where do you think that comes from? And the reason I ask.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not just trying to be a pill here, but the reason I ask is because when we're born, and little kids, if you notice, little kids who are playing or making drawings,
right,
they're not worried about how perfect it is. They're in a moment having fun.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And to them, this is like, hey, this is look at my picture. Look at what I made. I'm so excited because, I could do this.
Right.
And I just saw this thing and I was inspired and I'm putting it down and yeah, woohoo. And of course the parent, if they're a decent parent anyway, not that I'm judging, will a lot of times go, wow, that's pretty cool.
And you're like,
you did a good work there. Even though as parents, we may not always get what was intended to be drawn there because maybe it wasn't perfect in our eyes. But the only reason it's not perfect in our eyes is just because we couldn't translate it.
Right.
But the point being is that child isn't judging perfectionism. So where do you think that comes from?
I guess that's like, from family and growing up in the programming. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, your environment, society,
right?
The society of your family,
right?
The different expectations that family puts on us,
right.
And then we've talked about this before in another podcast about perspective.
There it is. Here it is. There you go. We did it on video. Perspective.
And we all come with those different levels of sight, if you will.
Right.
Right. And we have certain needs inside of us that we feel needs to be met.
Right.
It's a little redundant with the needs, but I think you get my point.
Needs. Tell me about
that. Needs is
them.
the word of today.
I thought it was perspective.
Yeah, but we need perspective. Need is still there.
I can't even be mad that she did it because that was clever.
Thank you. All right, so we all have these things inside of us that we feel that needs to be met.
Right.
And we look to our family to fulfill those things, right? And sometimes, depending on who it is in your family that you're looking for that need to be met, that person's just not necessarily available to meet that need, right?
Right.
And because they're not emotionally available, sometimes physically available or whatever for that particular need, then we internalize that. And then we internalize it in such a way it's like, oh, is there something wrong with me?
Right.
Oh, I will have to do better and be more perfect at what it is that I'm doing.
Right.
Now, mind you, this is just one little layer. This is just one little piece. I'm not saying that this is like a blanket everything.
Right.
But just for this conversation right here, right now, where it's going. If we take that concept of here's this little child, and through the interactions of different family members, whether it be parental figures or siblings or whatever, we're looking for a certain need to be met.
Yes.
We're looking to be heard. We're looking to be understood. Right. And when that need is not being met, and I know I'm repeating myself,
but that's the topic.
Then we have to find it somewhere else. But a lot of times what ends up happening, instead of us reaching somewhere else for that need to be met, whether it be within inside of ourselves or somewhere else, like another person, another activity, something.
Yes.
One of the things we start doing is we start self-judging.
Yes.
And where did we learn that? From our family.
Right.
From our environment.
Right.
From what we're being exposed to. Whether it be the TV, the actual family, the teachers, the shop owners or whatever. It's just your environment and where you are. And because, children are like little computers in the sense that they're absorbing information from all over the place. And we need to acknowledge that so that we understand that we were children once upon a time. And once upon a time, we were absorbing all of that information and translating it within inside of ourselves. It's not like we have, like Jimmy Cricket on our shoulders saying, no, or helping you to figure that out. You're kind of just trial and error doing that yourself. Right. So then there may be times where you're at a restaurant and you got to eat your fries first because you think that that's the right thing to do because I got to clear my plate and I got to make sure I eat them because I really want to eat them when they're hot because I might take too long talking or doing something else by the time I get to the main meal. Wait, what? I don't have to clear my plate, so maybe I can have a couple of hot ones and then eat my main meal because that's my favorite part?
Right.
And I can leave fries on my plate? What?
No, you're right. And and now that you're saying it in the way that you're saying it makes a lot of sense because I know for me why I stem from I have to make sure I get everything done before I could do this. It's the almost, I don't want to say over planning, but it's like because of, my childhood and some of the instabilities, I always needed an A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z in case things went wrong. And I just kind of internalized it like it's my fault. So with that, I just be like, well, if I don't do it in this way, something bad's going to happen. We're not going to have this resource or that. And even coming back to the fries of if I don't eat all this fries, well, what if I don't get the chance to have this food again? So.
Yeah, well, good job, first of all, buddy, because now you recognized that those are your triggers, that's your coping mechanism. That's what you did. For me, I always had plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and L, M, N, O, P. Right?
L, M, N, O, P? You crafty gal.
For me, it was about my own personal safety because being sexually abused as a child, you're looking for ways, how do I keep my body safe?
Right. That's a big one.
So yours is about coping with lack, not having. Right. So that's why you came up with all your plans. And that's why, and that is what may be driving your behavior. Right? So when I recognized that I had to have an escape plan for every room that I went into, that I did this little song and dance. I had this friend once upon a time who used to tease me because I always had a way to dance my way out of something. And I was really good at it and really sly that, like, especially if I really just didn't want to deal with that person's issue or something.
Right.
I just found a way to change the subject, or I found a way to dance out of it, or just to physically make my way out. And it took that person making a comment, trying to be funny but a smart aleck at the same time.
Right.
For me to even see and have the perspective that person had over my own behavior. Because that person sort of shed a light on it,
right,
just by pointing that out. So I didn't like hold that against them.
Right.
I was like, oh, whatever, ha ha ha, yeah, I'm that talented, ha ha ha.
Ha ha. Now I'm getting out of here.
But it did give me pause to come back and to reflect and say, why do I do that? Why do I have this need? And some of it is anxiety, because it's a fear of something coming and not knowing. Right. Yeah. Okay. A fear of not being prepared.
Yes.
In case of an emergency.
Yes.
Right. Because then again, I translate that all back to, when I was younger and there wasn't anyone there protecting me from bad things happening. Right. Right. And so now as a young adult, I'm over here making plans all the way to LMNOP, right? Say that 3 times fast because I was tripping over that one.
You said it twice, so I'm waiting for the third time.
But that's what helped me to feel empowered. That's what helped me feel a little bit in control of my life. And I look at it like it's training wheels.
Oh.
Right? So I'm not judging that that's what I did.
That's a big one because I'm always judging that I knew it.
I think the key for most of us is to let go of self-judgment.
Okay.
And that is hard, but okay. So this is really going to turn into a multiple discussion. Okay, because this one's really pressing on me. So to let go of self-judgment, and I hope I'm not talking too quick. And if I am, I apologize. Just rewind and re-listen.
She's already got her fail-safe plan in case you can't understand her. Yeah. I can understand you.
Good, I'm glad. Is, self-judgment. Oh my goodness, how do we stop self-judging? Well, it actually really starts with you stop judging others.
Ooh.
What? Oh, that's what I'm saying.
I love your sound effects.
Because what happens is when we are judging other people, making those judgment calls on other people, we're looking at the girls like, what the heck was she thinking putting that on and walking out of the house with that, right? That's a judgment. Right. All right. Not my taste, not my flavor, but hey, kudos to you, honey, for being so creative and being comfortable in that, right? Right. So it's not a judgment as much as that is an observation, but an acceptance of
that's better.
Her choices.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody's choices may not be what we would choose for ourselves, but it is their choices. It kind of falls in line with free will.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So we practice stop judging people and start shifting that into acceptance.
That's
it is. Now again, I gotta throw my little caveat in there. I'm not saying that, somebody's hurting somebody, that, that's just them creatively expressing themselves. Jeez. So we're just going to be accepting of that.
No, that's the hugest disclaimer. That's not what we're saying.
That's not loving of you and that's not loving of them.
There you go. That's the checklist, guys.
Always.
Yes.
Is this loving of me and is this loving of them? So, but, as human beings, we're really good at nitpicking people.
Yes.
We're really good about, making those judgments.
Right.
So if we practice stop doing that and more of accepting people for their own individuality, then it's a lot easier for us to not self-judge.
So it all starts with you. She just laid that bomb and was like, ha, chew on that one. You mic drop that. That was pretty good.
Wait.
She's like the sound producer and me. She's like, I won't drop the mic, but I'll show you.
I don't want to hurt Sherry's mic.
Thank you.
You're welcome. right?
No, but that's a big revelation to me. I mean, maybe I've sometimes come across this information, but the way you put it was just so like eloquent and concise. Because I know for me growing up, just again the environment, the people or whatever, there was a lot of judgment, either around like others or especially me. So then I, sometimes I judge and then I judge me more, and that makes a lot of sense. If you're doing a lot of judging, then you can't accept yourself.
Yeah, and it's really hard to break that habit.
Right.
Because, I don't know about you guys, but I do know that there are families that's all that they do.
Right.
And they do the gossip, they do the judging, and, that's a hard pattern to break.
Right.
But how beautiful would that be to break that family patterning? Oh, I really had to slow down to say that word because that was a hard word. Just in my own head, that was a hard word. Thinking my tongue's like, wait, I'm ready to trip over that.
You're like, what? Oh, family patterning?
I like it with your accent. Got your mom's accent there. That was really lovely stuff.
I was like, I don't know where that came from, the accent, but yes, that word.
Yes. So it's a pattern that your family has passed down to you through your exposure, through your environment. So we have the power, each of us within us, to break those patterns.
Yeah.
You just need to choose it.
Yeah, so you have to
choose it. Be mindful.
That's the big one. Be mindful.
Mindful/conscious.
Yes.
Conscientious.
Yes.
Being very self-aware in that way.
Right.
Because where your attention goes, that's where your energy goes.
Right.
So if you're being mindful and you're paying attention, then your energy will go that way, and then you'll know that this is something you want to clear. And you'll be surprised at how fast you can clear it.
Really?
Yes. Again, it's about being mindful, making those mindful choices.
Right.
Right? You know what? I'm not a saint. I'll tell you right now.
You're not? I thought you were.
No.
I thought you were.
Well, I should be, but just kidding.
It's like I'm trying.
When I was younger, I did the same thing. I would, and I may not have done it to people's faces, but I would criticize inside, like again, going back to that example of how somebody's dressing, right? Or that person that other person's hanging out with, like, what the heck are they thinking there?
Right.
Like, I don't like that person. Can't tell you why, but just don't. I'm passing a judgment on them.
Right.
I don't like how they tie their shoes. I don't like how they eat and chew. I don't like how they smell. They just stink. There's so many different ways, right? But I didn't like how I felt by saying all those things, because in turn, I felt like others were doing that to me.
Right.
Because obviously I'm doing that to them.
Right.
Now, we had said on a previous podcast where I had shared a story of my sister-in-law.
Right.
God bless her.
Mm-hmm.
She has many of her own little talents, but she does or had spent a lot of time talking about people
right
in front of them, but sort of behind their back. Like you knew when you were in that room and she was whispering to somebody else, you knew that she was talking about you.
Right.
Or if it wasn't exactly you, but somebody in your close proximity, because the eyes would go.
Right,
So she lives in her own torture because she's created that.
Right.
So because she does that behavior, she believes that other people are doing it. Yeah, and she certainly thought I was doing that to her, but I wasn't.
Right.
Because she was trying to call me out in that same day, that same afternoon, about that, and I was just like, no, I don't.
Right.
No. Yeah, and the only reason we're talking about her now is it's just as an example.
Right.
Because I want more for her. I want more for anyone listening.
Right. Yeah.
That we truly are creating our own world, and we're creating our world, our view of the world, by our actions, by how we are viewing others.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm going to be very bold here, and we've talked before, or like Sherry and I offline have talked. We've talked about the whole Black Lives Matter piece, right?
Right.
And whether it's that or something else, when we are only looking at it from this one narrow perspective, you're really self-limiting. And then when you're looking at it like, well, this is happening to me, right? Well, or you're judging that on somebody else, then of course you're creating that. But if you shift your focus a little bit, right? So some of the examples, and I hope you don't mind. I hope I'm not making you too uncomfortable here, but I am going to go here because I'm feeling led to go here. So Sherry and I have had this conversation where Sherry's parents are immigrants.
Right. Yes,
right?
we are.
So they were not part of that whole inheritance, if you will,
right,
of slavery, right?
Yeah.
Inheritance is not always a good thing.
You're right.
You know, so it's a different family patterning
Yes.
that your family comes with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it fair to say that you even feel a slight disconnect from the community of African Americans who were actually, whose families were here once upon a time as slaves?
Yeah, no, I guess for me, like my experience with it, you know, the limited perspective that I had, there just was a disconnect in the sense of like, well, this is what my generation went through and yours didn't. And this, that type of thing for me.
Right. So, and then sometimes does it feel like that disconnect that there's a level of you can't really fully relate?
Yeah, I guess for me, there is just kind of like a level of not being able to relate or not being able to fit in or just something like that for myself.
And do you feel that when you engage with those individuals, is it a judgment that they're putting out towards you?
I guess for me, when I would like interact with them,
I promise it's a point.
There's a point. I guess for me, when I would interact with them, I guess I would get more judgments towards myself, I guess, from them of like, why do you talk in this way? Why do you have these types of friends? Or why do you dress this way? And that type of thing, I guess, towards me.
Right. So they're passing judgments towards you, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually a window into their own little suffering that they're going through. But it's this level of suffering that they continue to circulate around themselves through their judgments, instead of saying, wow, look at her. She talks different. She dresses different. Look, she easily flows in with all of these other populations of people. I want to do that. Like, how does she doing that? Like, so instead of like being inspired, they're judging it, which means then they're continuing this cycle that they claim they don't like.
Yeah.
But they're creating it. Now, I'm not saying, please no, I'm not saying that there aren't injustices in the world, that there are not, prejudiced people in the world, because they certainly exist, and I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, I'm a white old lady, and what do I know? I probably have like white privilege or something, but honestly, no. I mean, we can certainly make that judgment of me, but you know what? People don't know me. They don't know what my family background is. My parents grew up impoverished. Their families were that way. My mom grew up in a community that was of color. So, and I growing up, it was always about inclusion. Always about inclusion. So I just want to be very clear.
He's like, I need the disclaimer in there.
All my disclaimers this week, right? All my disclaimers. But do you understand where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, because I guess for me and my experience, and I'm not generalizing any like group of people, I'm just saying for me personally, like I have come across people that are like, the same skin tone as me, and they kind of would pass judgment on me, or like even with my mom or my dad, because they immigrated here, and like with the she's laughing. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry, because you said your mom. And all I keep thinking about is I love her catchphrase.
Is it because I'm different?
Yes, I love that. Because, as we're talking about those judgments, right? People passing judgments, instead of jumping to the conclusion it's because of my skin tone, she didn't do that.
No.
Right? Is it because I'm different? Mind you, she has a very heavy accent. She's a beautiful woman.
She's great.
She really is. But I was all inspired by that line. And, to the point to where that's any community, any ethnicity.
There you go.
Yay, I said it.
She said words.
They can use that phrase, right? It's not about color. It's just about, am I different?
Right.
It's because I'm different.
It's because I'm different. Yeah, and I guess for me, like, just with my family of like, You know, I always tell I think me and my mom just always have this guy. I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent,
You go for it.
but I guess my mom and my parents just kind of always instilled in me of like the case by case with person by person, because I always grew up kind of like with the saying of like there can be some, you know, not so nice people to you, there could be some others, but I wouldn't just say a whole group or anything, because then it limits my perspective. Have I met people that weren't so nice to me? Oh yeah, different ethnicities. But have I met other people like different ethnicities who have been great? Yeah. So I just kind of like look at it in that sense.
And that's a beautiful way, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all people.
We're all
individuals.
We're all people, and we should just treat each other with kindness.
Yeah, love and respect.
Love and respect.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed our time here together. And I do want to say I'm very grateful that you gave us an opportunity to be very bold today. And I hope you have a great afternoon.
Bye, guys.
Remember, you are bigger than anything that you are going through or anything that is happening around you.